hearts broken across the tennis landscape as Rafa Nadal's career has now ended. Paul, what's your reaction?
Well, Father Time's still undefeated, right? And it's just heartbreaking whenever you see your legends, your icons that you've watched for so long, know that they're going to wrap it up. But we had a few more days where maybe coulda, woulda, would have been fun to watch him play. But look, let's celebrate what he's done. Let's celebrate what he's contributed to the game, to the sport, to the way he not only won, but more importantly, how he carried himself. And today was disappointing for Team Spain, but I got to give it to the Netherlands. They were tough under pressure. They did a great job.
Yeah, Rafa said, I'm not here for retiring. I'm here to help the team win. And he went out there in singles in the first match.
He did, and that surprised me a little bit, Steve, because if you're looking to win the competition, which, of course, Spain are on home soil, then I would have perhaps played him in the doubles today just to give him a chance to ease his way in if they needed the doubles. I would have played Bautista Agut in the second singles. He's finished the season really strongly, got a great record in the Davis Cup. And then I would have played Alcaraz at one, and then I would have maybe played Rafa and Alcaraz in the doubles. Give him an opportunity to play himself into form. That wasn't the case, and I think it was just a match too soon. We haven't seen him play since the Olympics, right?
Yeah. Had been practicing well. We knew that, Coach Ferrer. I mean, listen, if you have the opportunity to play one of the GOATs, you put him in the lineup if he's healthy and ready to go. And Rafa explained before the match why this would be his final event.
Okay, I can hold for one more year, but why? I mean, to say goodbye in every single tournament, I mean, I don't have that ego to need that. For me today, I mean, don't make sense or to keep going knowing that I don't have the real chance to be competitive the way that I like to be competitive.
So to Malaga we go. Nadal up first for Spain, taking on Botic van de Zandschulp of the Netherlands. Rafa has gone 29-1 in Davis Cup singles play during his illustrious career, Paul.
Yep, and he has been an icon. We saw the emotions as he was standing on court, being introduced beforehand, eyes welled up. And I'll tell you what, he actually played a guy who is very, very dangerous. And this is where I agree with Jason, just really tough if you haven't played a bunch of matches to come out in this scenario on your least favorite surface against a guy that can play this offensive and take the racket out of your hand. And we know what Rafa does when he hasn't played a ton of matches. He hits the ball a little short, it's a little spinny, and this is a guy that can take advantage of it and did. Played better from the middle of the set on, did Van de Zandschulp. And there were moments where we saw some really nice glimpses of Rafa. The epitome of it was in the second set right here when he's down 2 breaks. What does he do? Does he go away? Heck no, guys. I'm here till the end. I am fighting. I'm going to get back into this match. Gets 1 break back, makes it interesting, gets up love 30 the next game, returning, but Van de Zandschulp did not blink and just kept playing offensive tennis. So for me, Nadal did as well as he could do given the situation, and that man just played a little bit better.
Nadal's first singles loss at this event since 2004. Van de Zandschulp will be the final answer to a trivia question. 8 aces for the Dutchman, broke Rafa 3 times, fought off some nerves down the stretch. Let's hear from both guys, starting with Botic.
To play here in Spain against Rafa, I think he's the biggest sportsman here in Spain that ever lived. It's tough to close out a match against him. Knowing it maybe could be his last or not. I felt I was like hoping a little bit more than going for it, so that's what I thought at 4-3, love 40. I just went for it, and and that helped in the end.
The emotions, feeling the national anthem for the last time like a professional have been, very special. And then, of course, a little bit of mixed feelings makes the things a little bit more difficult. But that's it. I mean, we went on court, we lived that moment. I tried to do my best. I tried to, at the same time, to stay as positive as possible in every single moment, to play with the right energy. Was not enough. Congrats to Botic.
A closer look at Rafa's resplendent Davis Cup career. A part of 5 winning teams from Spain in singles. Was a perfect 19-0 on his favorite surface of clay. Won 29 matches in a row before today. Also said after the match, in some ways, it's good if this was my final match. I lost my first match in the Davis Cup, and I lost my last one. So we closed the circle, Jason. And interesting that Rafa would throw a joke in there at the end, but that's how it went for him, losing the match in 2004 and then once again today. What did you make of his comments after?
Well, it's amazing, obviously, that he's takes something positive out of such a negative as well. That's something he's made a career of doing. And I think the Davis Cup has always played an integral part in his whole career. He's one of the first players to represent Spain, and we first started to see that success, best of 5 on clay when they were playing at home. And that's when we started to think, okay, this guy's going to be very, very special. And so that's proved throughout the course of his career. And I think it would have been a wonderful farewell. But I think that's what's so wonderful about sports is you can't take anything for granted. And there was no guarantees this week that he was going to get a win. There was no guarantees that Spain were going to get a win. There was no glorious ending to his wonderful career. And that's why sports is so special. And that's why you have to make the most of all of the achievements throughout a wonderful career like his.
Well, we're going to send you back out to Malaga right now. They are having a special ceremony for Rafa Nadal. Take a listen.
Un fuerte aplauso para Rafa Nadal. Rafa, el pasado 10 de octubre nos comunicaste a todos a través de un vídeo que todavía no acabamos de asimilar, que habías decidido retirarte del tenis profesional aquí en Málaga en la Copa Davis. Y hoy queremos decirte, de parte de todo el mundo, eso que tú nos dijiste en aquel vídeo. Por tu carrera tenística, por tus valores, por tu forma de ser. Gracias, gracias y 1000 veces gracias, Rafa. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Bueno. Bueno, buenas noches a todos. Las gracias pues las tengo que dar yo a tanta gente que es difícil empezar de alguna manera, ¿no? Pero bueno, empezaré por los que están hoy aquí.
Beautiful ceremony there, and wonderful to see how much Rafa is appreciated by all those fans in Spain. Fitting that this is in his home country, his final event, his final match, and to see the emotion there, Paul. What do you make of that?
No, look, it's just so touching when you get to see a legend like this for so many years, and in his own home country, he's able to say goodbye on his terms. Sure, he would have loved to have won. But this is a guy that's filled with humility and class, and he's done so much for the sport, for himself, for all of us to try to emulate how to be ultimately so competitive, yet also do it the right way. And you know, it's sad for me to watch him go, but it's life. It's the way it is. And this guy's the master of pragmatism. He keeps saying stuff like that. You know, this is tennis. Life goes on, and I just keep going on.
Nothing lasts forever.
Nope.
Even the greatest things that we're able to witness. And, you know, we saw this with Roger Federer a couple of years ago at Laver Cup. The tears were flowing. And then we saw even Rafa, before the match today, get very emotional, something that we're not used to at all.
No, and he said earlier in the week, I'm ready for the moment. I've thought about it. I'm not going to get emotional until afterwards, but we saw it, didn't we? We had goosebumps, and we could feel the emotion that he was feeling. And let me tell you, it is great that it's on home soil, this retirement of Rafa's, but he would have got this kind of reception anywhere, no matter where, because he is so beloved, because of the way he's carried himself and what he's achieved throughout the course of his career, but because of the way he's carried himself most of all.
La ilusión que tenía de jugar otra vez la Copa Davis, es evidente que no ha salido como todos hubiéramos querido. Me hubiera encantado poder ayudar más de que lo he hecho, pero sinceramente he dado lo que tenía y os quiero agradecer de corazón haberme dado la oportunidad de estar.
And special to see the generations there. We saw a photo earlier this week of Carlos Moya, Rafa Nadal, and Carlos Alcaraz. 3 generations of absolute brilliance from this nation, and to see them all together for Rafa's final farewell is something that you don't often get to witness in the tennis world.
Yeah, it's a great celebration of legends from eras past and legends of eras that are upcoming and currently ongoing. And to see this, and a lot of it is because of what Rafa has done and the way he's done it, most importantly, like you said, Jason. I mean, that's the stuff to me that resonates, is we often get fortunate to see some of the greatest athletes on the planet do things we can only dream of, but very rarely do you get to see those same athletes do it in a way that is driven by grace and humility and character. And to me, as a father, more than anything, that is something that resonates.
And it's a great point you make about those fabulous careers overlapping. It's something we mentioned in commentary earlier today, wasn't it? Because I was lucky enough to commentate on the match that Rafa was able to beat Carlos Moya in Hamburg all of those years ago. And Carlos had been telling us, we've got this guy coming up, he's going to be amazing. We all had eyes on Rafa, and then all of a sudden, Rafa starts telling us about Carlos Alcaraz. This guy's going to be amazing. And so I think it's so nice that they've been able to grow up. Initially, Rafa watching Carlos Moya and Juan Carlos Ferrero, and then, more importantly, Carlos Alcaraz watching Rafa Nadal achieve all that he's been able to achieve in his career, and yet he's still able to spend a couple of years playing alongside him, playing against him, beating him, and finishing his career with him, representing Spain in the Davis Cup.
Yeah, circle of life.
Yep,
circle of tennis life. You spent many years coaching against Rafa Nadal. Obviously saw the man, Roger Federer, retire a couple of years ago. Personally, for you, what is this like to witness the greatest foe
How
come
did that
to an
go
end?
for you, coaching against Rafa?
Yeah, it's always sad because I admire, people that are able to do stuff like this, and sure, I was fortunate enough to be on the sidelines with Roger in many matches against Rafa, but nothing but admiration for the man. The one thing that resonates so clearly with me is one of the first years I saw Rafa Nadal was, I think, 2004 at Wimbledon or 2005, and I was coaching Tim Henman. And at that time, there was a huge problem because a lot of the clay court and Spanish players did not like grass. And so we were walking to the practice courts next to center court with all the ivy. And it was a week before Wimbledon, and I'm walking with Tim, and Rafa's there with Uncle Tony, and we're all walking together. And I'm walking between Tim and Rafa, and I said, Rafa, what do you think of this place? He goes, unbelievable. This place is magic. It's the most special place I've ever been. It's so incredible. And he was so excited, and he was so happy. There was not one thing about being on a surface or a place that was so foreign to him that made him turn negative. And that's the epitome of Rafa Nadal. Everything was an opportunity for him throughout his career, and every challenge he met head on, and every opportunity that he did not succeed at, he embraced, dealt with pragmatism and realism. And that's why it is just an iconic era, and it's an iconic legacy that he leaves behind.
And that's why everybody talks about, obviously, his great record at Roland Garros, the 14 titles and everything. But for me, the one victory that will stick forever in my mind is his victory over Federer in the final at Wimbledon, because he always made that a goal, even though he always knew he was going to be more effective on his beloved clay, was always going to be virtually unbeatable on that surface, particularly over 5 sets at Roland Garros. It was his desire to be the best, to win the biggest events in our sport, and Wimbledon's certainly one of those. And he had to win it to feel like he truly belonged with the greats of the game, and that was very much a goal for him early on in his career. And that's why that win over Federer in that final, in those iconic fading daylight at the end of the either with King of Spain up there and everything, will live on forever for all of those that witnessed it.
Yeah, he always said, I learned during my career to enjoy suffering. And to watch him do that time and again, every single point, playing like his life depended on it. I mean, as a coach, that's what you want your student to do. That's what you want your player to do every single point, like your life depends on it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just have every child watch him play tennis. I would actually have every kid watch him practice. I remember the first time I was 3 courts away at Wimbledon practicing with Taylor when Taylor was coming up, and Taylor looked at his tenacity and his intensity, and he just looked at me and went, this guy is just off the charts. I mean, every single ball is hit like his life is depend on it and depends on it. And it's amazing because it's very rare when you have that kind of intensity, and then afterwards, when you don't succeed, you don't win, you also are able to look through it with a lens of realism, which is, to me, the most important thing. He's able to look at it after the fact and go, did everything I could, tried as hard as I could.
That's the point.
And this is life.
Competing as hard as he possibly can for every single point, but it's not life or death thereafter.
Yeah, it's only in that moment, but he'll give it everything in that moment. You're watching right now a beautiful ceremony honoring Rafa Nadal in Malaga, the Netherlands, taking out Spain in the Davis Cup finals, in the quarterfinals. So Rafa's career has now come to a close, and you're hearing him speak to the crowd there who was cheering him on, lost his final match to Botic Van de Zandschulp, and then in the doubles, it was the Netherlands coming through in the end to knock Spain out. We were hoping to see Rafa continue on Friday, potentially Sunday as well, but we knew there was a finite ending to his career. It was going to come at some point this week. It comes today, unfortunately, for those of us in the tennis world that want to see one of the legends continue forever. And I think this is something that's difficult for us all to kind of comprehend when you see somebody who is this brilliant for this long. The fact that he stayed in the top 10 for nearly 18 years in a row. You think that he can surpass Father Time at some point, and yet in the end, there is an ending.
And it's finding the right moments, isn't it? And that is almost impossible when you're fighting against Father Time. So for Nadal, he's found it here in Spain. For Federer, he found it in the Laver Cup. I thought that was a beautiful moment. And of course, it very much involved Nadal as well. And we heard that beautiful tweet from Roger earlier today supporting Nadal in his final efforts. It's been a tough 2 years for Rafa. Finding the right moment, continuing to try and practice, and then hitting another speed bump, and then continuing to practice another speed bump, not being able to build up any kind of momentum, not being able to play any kind of matches. So at the end of the day, you just start thinking, okay, when am I going to be able to call it quits? And when I do, how well am I going to be able to perform in that moment? I think what we've witnessed this week is that it's been done on a special occasion, representing Spain in the Davis Cup, on home soil. That in itself is very, very special as well. And he's played just about well enough. We weren't all sat there kind of cringing at how poorly he was playing. He gave it 100%, as he always does. So I think all things considered in the last couple of years, that was as good as it was going to get.
Nike put out a special ad for him today as well, and he had T-shirts that a lot of the players rep by Nike are wearing. It says, greatness, all it takes is everything. All it takes is everything. And that's what we saw Rafa pour out his blood, sweat, and tears for the last 2 decades on a tennis court. Obviously, the accomplishments will show you throughout this show. 22 Grand Slam titles, 14 at Roland Garros. You all talked about it during the broadcast. Just to play one of the slams 14 times is something special.
Great career. If you've played a major for 14 consecutive years, right? Win it? Kidding me? Sampras with 14 major titles at the time. We were like, this isn't going to be surpassed. This is an incredible achievement. Equaled it at 1 major. Incredible.
Don't think we'll ever see that again. And you put this in the concept of sports in general, Paul. And when Rafa, for 15-plus years, was at his peak, to me, the greatest test in all of sport. Beat Rafa Nadal 3 out of 5 at Roland Garros. Nothing great. I mean, you could throw Michael Phelps in there. You could throw Tom Brady in there. Not as dominant as Rafa Nadal.
Yeah, I agree. And Jason and I were talking about, I don't know what else is comparable to what he's done. And all due respect to the Tom Bradys and Michael Jordans and LeBron Jameses and all the other great athletes that are on teams, it's very different. Not better or worse, it's just different. You have some semblance of relying on other people to help you. In tennis, in golf, anything that's individual, where it's only you, for lack of a better metaphor, you're totally naked. That's it. It's just you. There's no feeling like walking on center court at Wimbledon and knowing it's just you. And this man has done it, and he's done all that stuff with class.
And you can see the emotions as it starts to him. Yeah, you know, this is the last time. And this is somebody who, Jason, as we know, doesn't love the spotlight on him. He's always team. He's always everyone else first. Didn't necessarily, you know, want or need something like this. Obviously appreciates it, but he now knows that it's the end of the road.
Yeah, that's what I appreciated in that press conference. I don't have the ego to go on a farewell tour. I don't need this kind of appreciation at every single venue that I've ever competed at. But this is what he'll miss. He'll miss the adrenaline prior to the match. He'll miss being tested during the match, whether he comes through or not. And then he'll miss these emotions thereafter, win, lose, or draw. How do you replicate that in life is one of the great challenges for all of the best sportsmen and women in the world.
15 minutes into this ceremony for Rafa Nadal, the ITF president, David Haggerty, coming out to give a plaque to Rafa Nadal. Now you can see his sister, his wife there. And there will be a video for Rafa Nadal, and we will take a look at that as well. Certainly deserves all the accolades that he will be getting now and over the next year, and certainly when he is inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame 5 years from now as well. That's going to be a special moment for Rafa. Listen, it's been the end of an era coming. Novak Djokovic is still playing and still has hopes of getting another major, but once Roger retired and now with Rafa, that's 2 of 3 that have now stepped away from the game as we take a look at this video that will honor Rafa Nadal and all he has done for our sport.
A momentous occasion then for Rafael Nadal, the 17-year-old Spaniard about to make his Davis Cup debut. Nadal's done it for Spain.
Rafa Nadal, la verdad que no se me ocurre a nadie que represente mejor los valores del deporte y de la vida.
Darte las gracias por mi parte y creo que en nombre de muchos españoles por hacernos siempre palpitar, por hacernos siempre emocionar y por habernos dado tantas alegrías, ¿no?
Mejor deportista de la historia, con unos valores tanto dentro como fuera de la cancha que me han inspirado en mi carrera y también en mi vida.
Gosh, you just have meant so much in my career. You've inspired me to have so many wins, to keep going, to fight, to get better, to improve, to basically play like you.
The passion and intensity that you played with was something that I think all tennis players aspire to, and what all tennis fans will remember you for. It's been incredible watching you.
Oh, that is out of the stratosphere.
Your tenacity, your fighting spirit, the energy that you brought, the power is something that will be studied and is something that will be transferred to many, many generations that are coming up. I've been very honored and thrilled to be called your rival. The tennis world and the sports world will miss the incredible energy that you brought on the court. There is so much to embrace, so much to celebrate.
Hi, Rafa. I've been very lucky to see you grow as a tennis player and a person. I want to congratulate you, of course, in all of your victories in your career. Very, very special.
Congratulations on the most incredible career. It was such a privilege to play with you, but especially also against you. Some of my favorite memories with you, Rafa, of course, the 2008 Wimbledon finals, where you got me.
And he's up and running. He's into the roll box.
un traspaso de generación en generación, serás eterno.
Te quería agradecer por todos los momentos compartidos en el circuito, por todo lo que hemos aprendido de vos.
Gracias por inundar nuestros corazones con tu tenis, con tus remontadas.
Tu pasión que ponías por cada punto. Creo que tu legado va a ser eterno.
I wish you all the best for what's to come with your wonderful family. Congratulations on the most incredible career.
Spain are the 2019 world champions.
I'm going to miss watching you very, very much. It's going to be weird to watch tennis without seeing you there.
I wish you the best for what's to come.
Hola, mi amigo, felicidades por tu carrera increíble. Un besito para tú y tu familia.
My goodness, you will be missed.
Muchísimas felicidades.
Un fuerte abrazo, amigo.
Thanks for everything, Rafa. Enjoy retirement, mate.
Love you and we'll miss you very much.
Enjoy the moment. Take care, Rafa.
Un abrazo enorme y gracias por todo, Rafa.
Un abrazo muy grande y muchas gracias por todo. Thank you very much and good luck, my friend.
I don't know about you, but I was just focused on that lower left-hand corner. Seeing Rafa himself. I mean, these legends, these titans, these superheroes, they're human. They're human at the end of the day. We're used to seeing the fist pumps, the victories, but there's something just beautiful in the pure sadness as well, that they are broken down to a level that we are all at some point, and that's today for Rafa Nadal.
Yeah, Father Time is undefeated, and that man can walk off with his head raised nice and high with the way he's done it, and he's got a beautiful family and lots of great chapters ahead. So time to enjoy and relax, and he's got his academy. He's going to be around, and he's going to be with us.
So nice to see so many great Spanish sporting icons. David Beckham as well, speaking some nice Spanish there too. But I think that's so relevant because even though the likes of Carlos Moya, Juan Carlos Ferrero, Arantxa Sanchez, Conchita Martinez were great players, and tennis has always been very popular in Spain, he has become their greatest sporting icon. Soccer is so popular there, and of course they've had so much success, especially recently. But he stands above all of their sporting superstars now. That's what kind of career he has had. But it's not because of just the achievements. Those have been incredible. Everybody said thank you, and everybody said it wasn't just what you achieved, it was how you went about achieving that. That will be his lasting legacy.
One of the most humble champions I've ever met, Paul. Every interview, not about him, not about the accomplishments, really what, you know, it was about everything else. Let's listen in a little bit.
As hard as possible to be where I am today. And at the end of the day, being honest, a lot of people work hard, a lot of people tries their best every single day, but I am one of these that I have been very lucky that the life gave me the opportunity to live unforgettable experiences because of tennis. No? So I just want to be remembered as a good person and a kid that followed their dreams and achieved more than what I ever dreamed.
Rafa, has compartido pistas con centenares de jugadores que te admiran, que te quieren.
Wants to be remembered as a good person who achieved their dreams and beyond. I mean, these days, a kid grows up, wants to be Rafa Nadal, has those goals of 14 Roland Garros titles, 22 majors overall, winning every major multiple times. Before Rafa, those were just dreams.
They were.
Now there's a plan to achieve those, Jason.
And I think also, you were talking about being a father earlier. I've got a couple of young kids as well. We all want our children to be successful, but more than that, we want them to show kind of attributes that Nadal has shown, to try his very best, win, lose or draw, to enjoy the process of competing, and thereafter just congratulate your opponent and go about your business again the next day. It's not life or death scenario, but he's done that so well throughout the course of his career, and we'd all love our children to have some semblance of those attributes in whatever they choose to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I've always been, it's been breathtaking to me to watch someone do what I think is so important to try to maximize your ability, which is just really trust and understand your process. And you know you're going to compete unconditionally. You know there's no stone that's going to be unturned. And that was okay for him. And that's why after the matches, the few that he lost, it was, this is just tennis. What happened, happened. I go on, I try, and I do it again. And I actually think in his heart of hearts, that's how he felt. And he was able to let go because he knew he did everything he could possibly do to maximize his God-given skills, which were off the charts. And we got to watch it. And sure, what he did achieve was spectacular, but to me, more importantly, the way he did it and the way he processed it emotionally was even more spectacular.
And that was my one big takeaway when I started commentating on all of his matches. At first, I found it quite strange, the joy that he got in the process, and whether it was a first-round match in Hamburg or a semi-final match at Wimbledon, you saw the joy explode from him at the end of the match. And if he lost as well, he was very pragmatic about that too. And I think that's so nice. I think a lot of great competitors deliberately make it out to be a life or death scenario. I'm going to win whatever. And he competes to the best of his ability, but it's not life or death. But I just so loved the joy that he got out of competing, the respect he gave his opponents, and that celebration at the end of the match that we'll all miss so very much when he just... But it wasn't to the crowd, it wasn't for the applause, it was just the joy that he felt within himself, having enjoyed the process of that particular match. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's such a great point. It was innate. It came from such a place of realness with him, whether it was first round, whether it was the championship. I mean, you saw a Rafa that was so excited to win that match and to find the positivity in everything, good moments and bad moments. The fact that he didn't break a single racket, Paul, over his entire career. That's something that has always stood out to me. We see, I mean, players let out their emotions in different ways, and we give them the courtesy to do that and say, okay, you needed to do that, and now you go about your business. That was not the case for Rafa. He would never spend any energy on being negative.
Yeah, no, I've never seen, like I said, I've never seen an athlete in my entire life in any sport that was more well-equipped to manage every moment, stay in the moment, have short-term memory, and all that mattered was the next shot and the next point. Not what just happened, not what might happen, not what could have happened, no what-ifs. All that matters is the next point. Every single time he played. And to me, how do you bottle that and just make it normal for every kid?
Well, it's so abnormal, isn't it?
What's that?
That's what makes it so unique.
Exactly.
Is there anyone else?
No, I don't think so. No one's done it better. Yeah.
The ceremony continues for Rafa Nadal in Malaga. Davis Cup, the finals, the quarterfinals today. Spain going down to the Netherlands 2-1. Rafa played his final singles match earlier today, losing in straight sets to Botic van de Zandschulp of the Netherlands. Carlos Alcaraz took it to a doubles decider, was able to win his match against Talon Griekspoor, but then in the end, it was the Netherlands that came through against Spain. Therefore, the end of this glorious career of one of the true icons and titans of our sport. Rafa Nadal, his family in attendance, and of course having it in Spain, so special to see the end for Rafa Nadal, an embrace from Carlos Alcaraz and all of his teammates there. Of course, Rafa wanted another day on Friday to keep it going. Said himself, if I were the captain, I wouldn't put me in for singles on Friday if we were to play again. We won't have the opportunity to see if that was even an option, but a well-deserved celebration. And in these moments, it's almost like a death, right? The retirement of a legend. So you choose to mourn or you choose to celebrate. And what we do is we celebrate.
You can do both. I honestly believe you can do both. And you know, it's a loss. That's the best way to describe it. It's a loss, but it's a loss after giving us so many gifts for so many years. So I will choose to remember those gifts and just hope he and his family have an amazing next chapter. It's so well-deserved, but the way he has done things and what he's done will be used as a model for many, many generations to come.
They asked a lot of the players, Jason, what word comes to mind when you think of Rafa Nadal? A lot of them said fighter. What comes to mind for you?
That's a good question. It would just be competitiveness. Just that sheer competitiveness of no matter what he's doing. You speak to everybody now and they say when he's playing golf, just as competitive as he is when he's playing tennis, you know. And so I think it's having that competitive nature, but making sure that that doesn't become overbearing and start to make you behave in a way that you wish you wouldn't. We've seen that in plenty of other great competitors in lots of different sports. It tends to spill over into unsavory behavior. It's never happened with Nadal, as you've already mentioned. So I think it's that ability to compete at that level and yet still be a humble and a really kind person and respect your opposition, no matter what their ranking is. You always heard Nadal coming into matches first round, I got to give this guy the most respect that I can because he's a great player. And some of us kind of like, you know, like, okay, you know, you've beaten him 20 times in a row and he's ranked 250 in the world, but it doesn't matter. That was his mindset. I'm going to have to bring my very best today to get the job done. And I think what also strikes me is when they've asked a lot of other players, and we saw it on that video there, what their memories of Rafa are and what they want to say to him. And so many of them just say, thank you. Thanks for everything.
And there are only so many humans on the planet that can relate to what Rafa has done. We saw Serena Williams in that video, and of course she was watching his final match as well. Tweeted this earlier today: why am I getting so choked up with Rafa Nadal's retirement? I'm not good at goodbyes. None of us are, Serena. None of us are, and we were all getting choked up. We're not crying. You're crying, Paul.
Yeah, I got to say, a lot of emotion today, a lot of different emotions, but it's, like I said, he's just such, you know, in a good way, he's such an aberration, and all our greats are, and there's a moment that we can just sit back and we all have our memories, but just remember the good stuff, and the good thing about Rafa, to me, isn't just the accomplishments, it's the other stuff that we're talking about, and we can talk about it with unabashed pride because it's so amazing the way the process unfolded, you know. And whenever you can wash, rinse, repeat, believe it, live it, and do it day in and day out for this man's whole life, I mean, all he deserves is happiness and joy, and that's what I hope the next chapter brings him.